And Dina was friends with Carolina. Dina had not witnessed a lot of what Carolina had been doing. And so Dina was like very sympathetic to what Carolina was saying, which was, this show's crazy.
I've got a quick question for you, alright? I wanna hear your thoughts, I wanna know what's on your mind. I've got a quick question for you, alright? The answer's not important, I'm just glad that we could talk tonight. So what's your favourite? How did you get? When will I be remembered? Was it ever? Where did all go? Why do we know? Oh, forget it. Soren, Bowie, Daniel O'Brien. Two best friends and comedy writers. If there's an answer, they're gonna find it. I think you'll have a great time here. I think you'll have a great time here.
So, hello again and welcome to another episode of Quick Question with Soren and Daniel, an independent podcast where two best friends and comedy writers give each other questions and ask each other answers. I'm one half of that podcast, senior writer for Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, the author of How to Fight Presidents, Daniel O'Brien, joined as always by my co-host, Mr. Soren Bowie. Soren, say hello.
Hello, everybody. I am Soren Bowie. I am a writer for American Dad, and I'm Daniel's best friend.
Hell yeah. Thanks to ASPCA Pet Insurance for supporting Quick Question. To explore coverage, visit aspcapetinsurance.com/question. This is a paid advertisement. Insurance is underwritten by either Independence American Insurance Company or United States Fire Insurance Company and produced by PTZ Insurance Agency Limited. The ASPCA is not an insurer and is not engaged in the business of insurance.
Oh, wait. Oh, Daniel's doing a fun little flippy thing with his pen.
So when we were doing a lot of house stuff in the beginning and like hanging things, you needed a pencil to, mark here's where this is going to go on the wall, and you make your little notes. Always better to do that with a pencil. We had one mechanical pencil in the house that was the house pencil, and I could tell pretty early on we're asking a lot. We're placing quite a burden on the one house pencil, and I knew where it was at all times of every day, and that's not good for me either. That's not what my brain should be on. And then I was on a run the other day, and I found a pencil in the street already sharpened. So now we have two pencils. This is huge. No, not waiting. The show is Quick Question, but you knew that already.
How far into the run did you find? How long did you run with a pencil in your hand? Is my
No. I was very. It's the answer's going to underwhelm you. The run was 6 miles, and on my block coming home, I saw it for like the last quarter mile. I was like, pencil. Log it in the memory bank, finish the run, and then do my recovery walk afterwards, get the pencil, come back.
You went and grabbed it. Okay, I thought for sure you had grabbed it on the run, and then you were like, and now I shall be carrying this.
I was the entire time on that like the quarter mile run and then quarter mile walk, I was thinking, fuck, someone's going to snatch that up. That was a good pencil. It was sharp. I don't think it was used. It was clearly like a kid's for school that they dropped. And everyone's gonna know, like, this pencil hadn't succumbed to the elements. This was fresh. I should have just got it. I should have picked it up immediately, but I didn't want to break my gate.
And you got it anyway. That's good. I found $5 in the street once in a run, and like picked it up, and then ran basically less than half a block, and there was a homeless guy. And I was like, "Hey, do you want $5?" I'm sweaty and running past him. He's like, "Okay," and I gave it to him. And I was like, that felt good. Good to get that off the street and into somebody's hands.
Yeah. Otherwise, people would have assumed, man, I guess he heard an ice cream truck.
Yeah, that I would be running with nothing else. No wallet, no ID, nothing, no phone. But I was like, I have $5 in my pocket and I need to get rid of it because it's just weighing me down. You take this. Take this and take it right to that liquor store you just walked out of. Which he did.
It's great.
Yeah.
Soren... It happened to me.
Oh my God. It did? Are you all right? I mean, or congratulations.
I'm going to be all right. My wife walked in on me simultaneously, brushing my teeth, peeing.
Oh, yeah.
And watching Conclave on my laptop.
Yeah. Oh, laptop in the bathroom. Oh, yeah. I didn't even... What a trifecta.
None of it's terrible, obviously, but working in concert, here's why it really... So she laughed when she saw me. This is fun for her. I was screaming through a toothbrush because I'd been startled.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you've seen Conclave. It's a lot of whispers in hallways and ruffling of paper and breaking of seals. It's not, apart from one moment, it's not an exciting and loud movie. So I'm just like, man, look at that fucking withering glance from John Lithgow to Stanley Tucci. That speaks volumes. This is like the mood that I'm in. And then when I hear hello, I'm spooked and I scream through my toothbrush and things are just like coming out everywhere.
Yeah. Were you scared enough that you got that little break in the pee? Like a
Here's what's like actually scary is I was scared enough to stop peeing and then didn't continue.
Oh, that's a real scare.
Like
that's still in you.
Like it needed to go somewhere.
Yeah, that goes that just like redirects. It goes right back into your bloodstream, and now you got pee in your blood.
Because it was like, nah, fool me once.
Yeah, I'm not trying that again.
No, it was safe inside. We're staying inside now. The thing that really like drives me nuts about it is it's so important to me as a person that my wife doesn't think that when she leaves the house, things are different. And for the most part, they're not. I'm not someone who's worried about his wife coming home from work early unexpectedly, because 9.9 times out of 10, I'm on the couch reading, I'm on the couch watching TV, I'm in my office working, I am in the basement looking for leaks with a flashlight. Those are the places that I am. I'm not ashamed of any of those things. Come home whenever, that's probably what I'm doing. Maybe playing bass. The way this day unfolded, she went to her workout class, and it was, normally we're at one of our exercise things at the same time. Sunday was a very needed day off for me, so she's out working out, and I'm in the house to myself on a Sunday morning, on a day that I'm like, that I and doctors agree I needed to take off. I needed to take it easy. So I'm like, all right, you know what I'm going to do? Conditions are perfect. I want to watch Conclave. Shay would not like Conclave, so I'm going to put Conclave on the TV and sit on the couch and watch an hour of it while she's at class. And a few minutes in, I get antsy, and I think, I can do more with this time. Wouldn't it be great if she came home from her class and I had rearranged the office furniture like I'd been talking about doing? So I ended the TV, put Conclave on the computer, go up into the office, and now I'm watching Conclave while I'm arranging things. That's how the laptop ended up here in the upstairs. And then
laptops don't usually go to the bathroom. That's like a rare occurrence that a laptop really gets to see that. What a treat for that laptop.
I know. There's so much of the house the laptop hasn't seen yet.
Right.
There's and then she sends a text. She's saying, I'm class is done. I wanted to go to this store, but the store is closed. I'm heading home now. Will you be ready to hit the road and go on errands when I get home? And I said, actually, I'm going to need a few minutes.
Oh.
Which I thought was a normal thing to say. And I also thought I had enough time to finish up in the office. And then I was like, oh, but I do need to brush my teeth because I haven't done that. It's morning and I need to pee. So let me just... I can pee and brush my teeth at the same time. And when someone's in the house, I'm very diligent about my time in the bathroom.
Yeah.
It's become important to me as we're not a house where we shout across the floors or anything. We don't shout through doors. I'm sure it'll change one day, but for now, bathroom door closed. There's no like, what do you want for dinner? Like, don't shout. We don't communicate through doors. We don't communicate through walls. Bathroom is a sacred little time where I'm just doing my thing. When no one's home, the door stays open. I never even think about closing the door because the whole house is my bathroom now.
Yeah.
And so I'm there in the master bathroom and I'm brushing my teeth and peeing. And it's the most natural thing in the world to keep watching Conclave. I had never broken Conclave all morning. It was part of all of my adventures. Because I was just trying to get as much Conclave as I could. And I bring it into the bathroom. And that's why at the time, it's like, this is the most... if I had a heart attack and died here in this bathroom, forensic specialists could come in and be like, the couch was still warm. He started watching Conclave here on the couch, but then he got a burst of inspiration. That's why you could see all the pencil markings on the walls of the office. He was doing some redecorating, but you could see by the patterns on the wall, he looked at his watch and realized it was almost time for errands. So he went to the bathroom and then had a heart attack.
Yeah, it's bunk in the wire. And instead of saying, oh, you motherfucker, they're just saying Conclave over and over again.
Conclave. But there's no mystery. Everyone can see, like, this happened, then this happened, then this happened. It's a logical chain of events. It probably doesn't seem like that to my wife, who has never seen me in a bathroom with a laptop, who doesn't know that I can sometimes condense peeing and brushing my teeth. Certainly wouldn't think
those two chores collapse into one.
Happening at once with the bathroom door open. And as she just like comes through the house and like goes upstairs, and I was so fucking locked into this movie that I didn't hear any of the other noises. So she's just like, hey, the bathroom's open, and I can hear him brushing his teeth. I bet when I walk in, that's the one thing I'm gonna see.
So it's not even like like you have just a mechanical toothbrush just jammed in your mouth.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, I mean, probably not your greatest moment.
Not my greatest moment, and I was spooked, and I get like, I'm mad at the world when I'm spooked, and I'm like, this isn't funny. Oh, rats my pride. And then later we're driving to our destination, and she's just like, I'm really sorry. And I just be like, don't be sorry.
No, it makes it worse.
You didn't do anything wrong. And I'd like the record to reflect that I didn't either, but I'm still just unhappy. It's completely taken the wind out of my sails for the whole day.
I do this thing where when I get out of the shower, I like to, towel off, but then your body's still a little bit wet.
Yeah.
And so I do this thing where I pop my underwear on, but I don't put them on all the way. I'll put them on to like mid-thigh as like I'm doing my other bathroom stuff. So my underwear is just like not covering anything it's supposed to be covering, and like it just like the elastic's at about mid thigh, and I'm waiting for everything to kind of dry before I do that extra pull up.
Yeah, I get it.
And so, but I also like, this is the time of night that I shower. Is given my schedule, I work out and then I go home, shower, and I'm gonna floss too. Now, generally, you're right. My wife and I at night, we both have our different things that we do. We're two ships in the night. Like, she's downstairs having a yogurt, maybe reading some of the paper, maybe finishing up some work. I have time upstairs. The upstairs is basically mine during that time, and so I have definitely been with my underwear half pulled up, flossing in the mirror and humming as she comes up early, and I didn't anticipate it, and I'm like, don't look at me, this isn't the real me. This isn't the real me. But the first time she did, she was like, are you looking at your dick in the mirror? Because now that's exactly what it looks like. I'm flossing in the mirror with my dick pointedly out, not just like naked, like pointedly out.
Because and your wife is a smart woman. And when you're confronted with this tableau, Sherlock Holmes is going to say he pulled his underwear down to look at his dick, because no one assumes it's Occam's razor. You hear something, you don't guess. You hear galloping, you don't guess zebra, you guess horse. In this case, it was zebra. No one would look at you and think he probably just pulled them up to thigh because.
No one ever has in history just
because
new underwear.
His bits weren't ready for underwear yet, but his thighs were.
Yeah,
this is harmless.
No one has ever just pulled up their underwear halfway and been like, "Good enough for now."
Yeah.
So the understanding is always,
I gotta take a breather.
These have come down. These have come down, obviously, and that was not the case. And so trying to plead my case also sounds very crazy because you're explaining a lot at once, and. So I'm sympathetic to where you come from. Having a new person in your house at all times is a new way for the world to embarrass you and for you to embarrass yourself.
Because how do you convince someone that I don't do this thing that I'm doing
every day when they're
every
gone,
time you leave the house?
It's the if I came home and Colleen had her laptop in the bathroom, my first reaction would be, yuck. Don't do that. I sometimes touch that laptop.
Yeah.
That's not where we do the laptop. So it's a tough situation to be found in. I'm glad that happened to you, though.
Yeah.
Hey, your painting's up.
It sure is.
Oh, what a great framing you've done here.
Long-time and short-time listeners of the podcast know that I have a dog. His name is Jackson. He is my best friend. He is just about to turn 13 years old, and I have had him for every one of those years. We have been through multiple moves, including across the country. There is not a single thing I wouldn't do for my dog. I care about him deeply. When you have a pet, you love taking care of them because in their own way, they take care of you. That is the truth with me and Jackson. But even if you're the best pet parent in the world like me, unpredictable things can happen. Fortunately, you can always give your care a boost with ASPCA Pet Health Insurance. I love my dog, Jackson. The ASPCA Pet Health Insurance Program offers customizable accident and illness plans, making it easier for pet parents like you to help your pet get the care they may need. The ASPCA Pet Health Insurance Program has been around for over 18 years, and they've helped more than 600,000 pets during that time. They allow you to customize your plan, helping ensure that your pet's plan is as unique as they are. Because vet bills can really add up, don't I know it? Especially when you're least expecting it. It's simple. Use their app to submit a claim, and you'll receive reimbursement for eligible vet bills directly into your bank account. To explore coverage, visit aspcapetinsurance.com/question. That's aspcapetinsurance.com/question. Again, that's aspcapetinsurance.com/question. This is a paid advertisement. Insurance is underwritten by either Independence American Insurance Company or United States Fire Insurance Company and produced by PTZ Insurance Agency Limited. The ASPCA is not an insurer and is not engaged in the business of insurance. I'm so glad that it's in frame too, because I am constantly tweaking the setup of my office space because I am neurotic and obsessive about it. But I also was trusting the internet for where I'm supposed to hang a painting. Because in the past, I've just sort of done them with like, this is where I can reach, and that's where I would hang something. But then I was like, how do you measure where should a painting live? Because it's going to live here for forever until the house blows down in a couple of weeks. And I followed the internet instructions and I got it all centered, and I was like truly thinking, I was almost kicking myself because I thought maybe I should have hung it up with my camera set up to make sure that it was in frame for the podcast. But then I thought, I can't design my house with the podcast in mind. I just can't. That can't be. That's a silly thing to do.
Yeah.
One day, hopefully, this podcast will be over.
God willing. Yeah.
And then I'd have a bunch of furniture that was just podcast camera height, and it wouldn't make sense.
It looks really good. You got a lot of good plants there.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy about everything.
Some gold statue. I can't tell what that is. A Dundee, I think. Maybe
it's a Dundee, yeah.
Yeah.
I did have, you can see in previous episodes, I had my bass guitar behind me as well. And that is no longer here because this is the same setup I have when I have my work Zoom calls now.
Oh, yeah.
And in Rewrite, one of my coworkers slacked me and another coworker to talk about how they're resisting the urge to Photoshop me as the bass player for Dashboard Confessional.
Do you look like him?
No. He's got like incredibly long hair.
Okay.
It was just like a comedy specific, like what's a band with a bass player that is probably a band, Dan, you would have liked in high school? And got me. But he sent that Slack, and I was like, for fucking 5 years, I resisted the impulse to have anything in my background in Zoom because I didn't want any of my hilarious comedy writer coworkers to say shit about anything. And I thought, surely 5 years, enough time has passed that I could put the things in my background that I want without someone being like, no, Mr. fucking bass player. But no, there will never be enough time passed.
Right.
So now it's just plants.
Yeah, it looks good. Looks really good.
Yeah.
Well, Daniel.
All right, let's get into the show.
Yeah, I think it's about time. It's about time for my new favorite segment of the show, which isn't going to last much longer. This is the part of the show where I give you a little recap on The Bachelor.
Wow.
That's what we call it.
A lot of build-up for...
The Chiron says, this is the time when I give you a little recap on The Bachelor.
I always forget how snappy and catchy and unforgettable that the name of this segment is.
With no music behind it. Yeah, it's beautiful. It barely fits on the page. So, I have some terrible news for you, first of all. Sweet baby Alex was taken too early from this world.
The Bachelor killed her. She was killed in a bullfighting.
As far as the
surprise date.
As far as the universe of The Bachelor is concerned, she is dead now. Yeah,
wow.
They killed her off. My daughter's speech therapist, who I thought was doing gangbusters on the show, and who I was the only person on the show that I was really like, this includes The Bachelor, that I was really rooting for and liked. She's gone. He kicked her off the show. She went off. I don't know. So it was like clear that like he wasn't. Okay, I got a couple of theories. One is that she is definitely not his type. He has made it clear on the show that he's looking for. He rarely says my wife. He always says the mother of my children. So
right.
He's looking for a sire. Like he's looking for someone to give him what he wants. Which is like, this is not the finish line, The Bachelor. It's like, you will now be a good host for all of these things I put in you.
Yeah.
And so the women that he's kind of selecting are women who, man, it's tough to say this without sounding really cruel. I don't think that they are conversationalists. I don't think that they're offering a lot. Like he has these individual dates with these women, and he really has to like drive the date. You've been in with people like this before where they're just waiting for you to say something. And then when you ask them a question about themselves, they have no concept of having the ball for a while and then passing it back to you. They're so used to being asked questions that they're they're going to give you one word answers. And so you're not getting anything. There's a couple of women who are still in the show. There's only 3 left at this point. I still don't think we've ever seen what they're actually like. There's one woman, Zoe, where I'm like, you are a wall. Like I've never seen a real version of you, a moment even of you.
Is the one who is the most hated the dirty player? Is she still in play?
No, Carolina also
went off. This is bad television.
I know. She went off at the same time as Alex. Alex was, for all intents and purposes, I would say, the comic relief. Like she was fun and she was funny. And then at the same time, they kicked off the woman who is diabolical.
Yeah,
and
these
so
are just like
you killed all the good
rules.
Stuff.
Basic rules of TV. You never kill off your villain and your character whose name I know. Those are the main 2 rules.
Yeah, they went to Scotland. This all went down in Scotland, and Carolina fucked up Scotland for everyone. Everyone was like trying to have a good time in Scotland, and she made sure nobody had a good time, including The Bachelor. And it's real funny because they're doing these group dates. She hates the group dates because she's I mean, I hate to say that she's the heel because she's the only one who's actually acknowledging that this show is crazy. But she's like, I don't know this man. And everyone's like, we love him. And she's like, I don't. And they're like, then get off the show. And she's like, well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to go yet. I might fall in love with him. I like him. And so she never is happy with the amount of time she has with him. She's never happy watching him kiss other girls. Rightfully so. But the way that she handles it is she pouts. She goes on these group dates and she pouts off by herself. And he's like, hey, come do this axe throwing or whatever we're doing with us. And she's like, I don't think I can right now. And he goes, hey, what's the deal? Because the other element of this Bachelor that we've learned is that he loves it when these women open up about their lives and cry to him. He goes crazy for it. The women that he's allowed to stay on the show are the ones who have really just like spilled the beans to him and like fallen apart in front of him. They've been like, they do a lot of like the thumbs under each eye because they did their makeup so good, and now these tears are gonna ruin it all. And
that's some real classic cult leader shit.
he's got some real, some red flags have appeared over the season for this guy, and I'm really actually pretty happy that Alex isn't with him. I would like her to just be on the show a little longer because it gives me more incentive to watch it, but he's not.
Alex, Carolina, you guys are some free thinkers. I hate that. It doesn't really work on the compound.
There was one left. There was one other woman left on the show who went on a group date with him. Her name was Dina, and she had been on this date with him where he was like, I really want a woman that I can take care of, that like I want her, she'll be my queen, was essentially what he meant. And Dina was like, oh, I don't want that. She's like, wouldn't it be nicer to have somebody who is your equal? To have somebody who is also doing things in the world and that you can be proud of and is doing things that they're passionate about? And he's like, I've never really thought about that before. And it turns out, no. Turns out that's not what he wants because she just got kicked off the show tonight. Well, Monday.
Specific flag. I mean, I don't want to tell anyone how to live their life or anything like that, but broadcasting to each woman and to America writ large that I am looking for the mother of my children first is a very aggressive thing to do. Yeah. Like we are a modern couple. When you're dating and you're in your 30s, you have that conversation. If you're the kind of person who wants children, that is a thing that you need to like get ahead of early and have that conversation as an older dating person. But you don't do it that way. You say like, hey, would you like kids one day? Because that's important to me. You would? Okay, good. Now that that's out of the way, we don't need to talk about raising kids. We can get to know each other and see how we feel about each other. You don't just go like, oh, my two favorite loves are basketball and spreading my seed because population is all I think about. And I need someone with sturdy childbearing hips.
Yeah. Just the first date, measuring all their ankles.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to snap in half if I put a child in you.
You know me. I love watching television. I've watched so many shows. For a while, it was my entire personality. I wanted to watch as many shows as possible. I wanted to know everything. I wanted to know about your reachers and your realities and your preachers and your prealities. And so to that effort, I got so many different streaming services, every streaming service imaginable. And then time passed and I was still paying for those services and I didn't even know it. Was constantly signing up for things that I was probably signing up for things twice, and that's how my bills got so big. Getting Rocket Money was a game changer for me. They'll find your unwanted subscriptions and even help you cancel them so you never have to worry about them slipping through the cracks. Don't be like me. Don't pay for a bunch of streaming services you got a few years ago when things were different. Pay for only the things that you like and you use. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. See all of your subscriptions in one place and know exactly where your money is going. For ones you don't want anymore, Rocket Money can help you cancel them. Rocket Money's dashboard gives you a clear view of your expenses across all of your accounts. Easily create a personalized budget with custom categories to help keep your spending on track. See your monthly spending trends in each category to know exactly where your money is going. Get alerts if bills increase in price, there's unusual spending activity, or if you're close to going over budget. The new Goals feature automatically saves money for you, so you don't have to think about it. Pay off credit card debt, put away money for a house, or just build your savings. Rocket Money makes it easy. Rocket Money will even try to negotiate lower bills for you. They automatically scan your bills to find opportunities to save. Then you can ask them to negotiate for you. They'll deal with customer service so you don't have to. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/QQ today. That's rocketmoney.com/QQ. rocketmoney.com/QQ. Do it.
She got kicked. Both of the great characters got kicked off in Scotland. And Dina was friends with Carolina. Dina had not witnessed a lot of what Carolina had been doing, and so Dina was like very sympathetic to what Carolina was saying, which was, "This show's crazy." She was like, "I guess you're right," and she seemed pretty level-headed, and she kind of like warmed to Carolina, and Carolina felt very seen. And the next episode, it just fell apart again because Carolina, I think, might be psychotic. She was ruthless with how she would steal the time of this dude and the way that she would do it, because she would go cry somewhere, he would come and talk to her, and then she'd just keep him. She'd keep him wherever she was and just keep the conversation going and like force him to make her feel better. And so it ended up ruining the dates for everybody else. Anyway, the fun one's gone.
Yeah. If this were in years gone by, in the much more problematic past, a person would Google Carolina Bachelor and look at pictures and zoom in on the eyes and say that she's crazy. We live in a society where we don't do that anymore. And so, Soren, the floor is yours. I have nothing to say.
I want you to go look at as long as we're doing this, I would like you to go look at one other person. Her name is Latia, Letia, because I got a lot to say about Latia. Take a look at her. She, from the moment she got on the show, had a very intense glare, a very intense look into his soul that I was like, oh, something's going on here. Now, we had hometowns this week, which means that he has to go visit all of these women's families. Now, when I say all these women, it's only 4 left. But he goes to 4 different families.
I love that it's we already for you, Soren, that we had hometown this week. You are in for life.
I'm hooked. And I'll say that the majority of the women that he's chosen so far are not only... So he's black. The majority of the women he's chosen so far are not black. There's 1 black woman left on the show. And the places he has to go are some of the most racist parts of the country. He goes to Boston for one of these. He goes to Wyoming for one of them.
Okay.
And the Wyoming one is this woman, Latia. Latia is Mormon. And he doesn't find that out until... We find that out very early on. He doesn't find that out until right before these homecomings or whatever they are. Like, where... Hometowns is what it's called.
Sure.
So she tells him on this date, she's like, a thing you should know about me is my faith is very important to me. He's like, word, yeah, bet. Like it's also important to me. Like our faith is super important to all of us. That's why we're here. And she goes, but my faith's a little different. My family, I was raised Mormon. And it's clear he doesn't know what that means, because he does that thing where like he like puts his chin back and like his eyes start like blinking like too much, like his whole face is blinking, and as he's nodding like as he's trying to figure out and process what she's talking about. And she's,
that's someone who's going Mormons. It's not Tom Cruise. It's not. It's not beards, and they can't have certain foods. It's something that's not one of the ones that I know.
You don't use machines. It's the ones that don't use electricity, right?
It's not.
And so he doesn't know what it is, but she's like, I hope this isn't going to get in the way. And he's like, of course not. It gets in the way, Dan. We go to Wyoming. I don't think she's from Wyoming. She's from Idaho, I think. But they do this date in Wyoming. He meets her whole family, and it's a family of 40 in Wyoming. And they're all in this log cabin. And on the way there, he's like, I don't think it should be too much of a problem. I haven't really looked into this whole Mormon thing, but from my understanding, the framework's pretty much the same as Christianity. And I was like, no, it's not the same. Producers might have told you that, but you definitely got to crack a book on this one, because you're walking into something crazy. And he gets on this date. The family is very white. A lot of white people all around him in Wyoming who are very much like everyone's trying to put on a good face, but there's this thing that we are just not addressing in the show, which is this family's a little cold to him. There's a grandpa who is like, I want to say 1 foot out, because he's got an oxygen mask on and everything. Grandpa needs to get to a lower altitude. And, and there's a real cold shoulder thing happening, and it's awkward, but he somewhat talks about it, and he is a pretty good sport. And in Boston, he meets this entire Italian family, and he's a very good sport there too.
Gotta say, another curveball.
Italians in Boston, I know. So
this show is keeping me on my toes.
Do you want to take a guess at what song they played as soon as we started getting the B-roll of Boston?
God, it's not Dropkick Murphys. If it's an all-Italian... It is Dropkick Murphys?
It's Dropkick Murphys.
Okay,
no,
great.
it's
Pogues?
Yeah, it's the Pogues. It's the Pogues that I'm shipping off to Boston song.
Hell yeah.
That's exactly right. And so, but yeah, it's this big Italian family. Yeah. She's the last character. She's the last person on the show, this Italian woman who I'm like rooting for. I'm like, I like her. I think she's bubbly. I think she's fun. I think that I've seen the real her. She could do it. She could still pull this off. But yeah, then the other people, he also goes to Chicago, and the woman there is Dina. Dina's the one who is like more level-headed and kind of has her life together. I think she's a lawyer maybe. And he gets there and she's like, bad news. My family of 14 pulled out at the last minute. She has she has 11 brothers and sisters. She's one of 12. And
That's too many.
It's too many. And all of them were like, decided as a faction, we don't believe in this show. We don't want to meet him. We're not doing it. Now, I think she also comes from a conservative family. And so she, while they're talking about this, she's saying, it's not you. It's not you. It's the circumstances of the show. And what she means there is, it's not that you're black.
Right.
Because it is. Because she's like, she comes from a very white, very conservative family that like don't believe in the show. I believe that. I can concede in that. But she still went on the show. They haven't this was still going to be a possibility up until recently.
So like it's got to be such a win for those producers in the casting stage when one of the people was like, just I don't know if I need to flag this, but I have 11 siblings, all boys, and they hate reality television. Is that going to be a problem? And the producer's like, absolutely not.
No.
We love it so much.
Yeah.
You're going to win.
That sounds perfect. Don't
tell anyone until the season finale.
So instead she goes to this pumpkin patch and meets up with 5 of her friends instead and introduces him to 5 of her friends. And he's like, this is actually really cool. It's really cool. And like, I totally understand where your family's coming from. And she's like, that's great news because I thought this would really hurt my chances with you, that already my family is not approving of what's going on. And he's like, no. Anyway, you're not getting a rose. Like by the end, he does not give her a rose.
Man.
Yeah. So we are next. We're apparently next week, because on every single episode they really tease out what the next one's going to be. You could really take shots to it. When we found out this Hometowns was coming up, they must have said Hometowns on the episode before that 56 times. This time we have Fantasy Suite coming up next, and Fantasy Suite, Dan, is this tremendous opportunity I didn't know existed on the show. They all get to try out humping each other to make sure that like these relationships work.
I bet that won't complicate things.
I can't imagine it would. We already have one person who is Mormon, and I can pretty much guarantee she's not going to sleep with him on the Fantasy Suite section. He gets, I think, 24 hours alone with them or something like that, maybe even 48. They're just in these cabanas alone, and I think he leaves one cabana and goes to the other one, which is rough stuff. Yeah. Really rough on these women who think that they might be falling in love to watch him leave and know that he's going to sleep with somebody else.
Just walk out the door and be like, can I like hose down or something? Can I get some...
No?
Wipes at least. All right. Okay.
Bring it with me. Bring it all with me. It's really weird. It's a very... Even the Hometowns, because he's meeting these dads, and the dads are like, come on, dude.
Right.
What's really going... What are we doing here? He's like, I really believe that I'm falling for your daughter. And the subtext is, and these 3 other women.
Right. It's got to be... I can't imagine... any families really wanting to do it and engage with it in good faith. I mean, there might be some families who are like, we understand how reality television works, and so we know that, let's say their daughter said right up front, I'm not trying to find love. I'm just pretending. I want to be on TV. There's some money in it. You'll all have parts to play too. This could be fun. Best case scenario, we're on TV for X amount of time, and then we get agent, management, money, blah, blah, blah. No. Those families might exist. But for the most part, it's just going to be like, if one of my brothers at some point was like, hey, don't be weird about this, but I'm bringing a woman and a camera crew to our hometown to introduce you to them. and because I might be falling in love with this person. It was like, that doesn't sound like something you would do, and I don't believe you because you met them on television, and this is insane. They're like, no, but like I want to take them to a pumpkin patch in Hazlitt, New Jersey, and show them. This is the movie theater I used to work at before it was torn down. This is the sports authority where I used to work until it was turned into a storage facility. This is the restaurant that I used to work at. It burned down, and this is my family. They're all really tense right now.
Yeah.
Ignore them.
They're not going to be themselves, but neither will you. So I think it's going to be fine. It's very strange. And you do get a lot of like him getting pulled away by family members to be like, hey, what are your intentions? And him, I think he genuinely believes it. He's like, I think I'm falling in love with your daughter. I've never felt like this about anybody other than these other three women, and I think she could be the one. And like when they're with the families, they're also very handsy and kissy with each other. So it does look, for all intents and purposes, like the first time you would bring home somebody that you were very serious about. And
I'm warming up to it. Like as much as I'll do an about face when I was saying that it all seems like artifice and like clearly fake manufactured reality television. I do trying to think about like when you're in the dating world, it's you have apps or you meet someone at a bar or a party or you're introduced to someone through a friend and you're on dates, and dates are, you're almost always kind of thinking about ending the date or like what's wrong with this person kind of stuff. Like we all have your checklist, and it's hard to really commit to dates. Even after a few dates, you're still just like thinking about a million other variables, and like you can't really tell what the other person wants, even on the apps. If they're like, they said they're not looking to hook up, but maybe they are just looking to hook up. You never get the situation that is presented in The Bachelor, where you do feel like every single person that you interact with is open to the idea of falling in love with you and marrying you. Even if that's like the subtext of dates you go on in the real world, it never really seems like that. But The Bachelor is like, I signed a contract saying that I would be open-minded to being in love with you and to hold your hand and to meet your family. That's a completely different dating reality than the one that I was in, or that you were in, or that any other normal person was in, where it's, I don't know what it would, like, if I was a guy on this show and it was like, I signed a contract saying be open to falling in love with a million people, and here are all these beautiful people who want to listen to me and want to tell me their stories, and like any one of these people could be my wife. You walk into a room and any one of them could be your wife, and just like know that and feel that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he's right. Maybe
he's open to it.
He is. He is telling everyone like, I think I'm falling in love, and he might believe that.
And so yeah, that's like that portion of the show. I agree. I can get behind the idea that you'd be introduced to all these beautiful women with different personalities, custom picked for you, and you'd be like, maybe you're right. Maybe I will fall in love with one of these women. Maybe they will be my wife. The other direction is where the head first crazy comes from, and where Carolina was absolutely right. You have all these women agreeing to be on the show probably before they know who the Bachelor is. They don't get to just like, they're not hired for the show and then they've got like 6 guys that they're like, I'll wait till that season. I'll be for that guy. They just are like, okay, who is he? I have to be in love with him.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make myself fall in love with him on this show. And that's the crazy part that I don't understand at all. All these women don't come on immediately with the intention of like, this one will be my husband. That's fine.
Yeah.
And what the personality type that would take you there is, I've never seen it in real life. I don't.
I imagine more than a few of them are probably like, I watched a season of The Bachelor. I really loved the guy on there, and I thought I'd be great for him. And so I did this show thinking you would get another one like him. And I got this stupid basketball player who wants me to quit my job and raise 3 basketball children with him, 3 more giants. I don't want it.
Yeah. I forgot to mention that in Scotland, the entire time he's wearing a kilt in Scotland. And it's so funny to watch him try to like calm a nervous Carolina down while they're sitting on a rock over a fjord, and he's wearing a kilt. And he's got a little knife in his sock, like he's got a traditional garb on. One of those little feathery purses that they wear on the front. It's so funny. But anyway, we're back. We're back in LA already. He even talked to the last Bachelor because they had this moment where he goes and gets vibes. They always do this over a dinner, or they do this over drinks. No one on this show has ever touched a piece of food, or when they go on these dates, they don't do anything. It's like when we were on After Hours, where we had to shoot, and you have this food in front of you, and it's been cold for the last 4 hours. And it looks terrible. It's all everything's congealed on top. I assume that it's got to be the same as that because we don't touch that food, knowing full well that also you can fuck up a take if you're eating during it. So
that's crazy. They don't want you do all this traveling. You don't want to experience the exotic cuisine of Scotland or Wyoming.
And so he goes on this mandate with the old Bachelor, and they're having a beer, and these beers just sit on the table. And if you really take a moment, you like look at the people in the background, you're like, oh, they shut down this whole bar, and those are extras, or there's crew behind them. Yeah. Because they're doing that thing where they go like this, where they're talking to each other, and they go.
Yeah.
And like nothing's natural. Yeah. And you're like, oh man, this is rough. So the old Bachelor
listeners, so listeners who are not watching the feed, just a quick heads up. Soren did some phenomenal mime talking work. Imagine a background extra on a film set who is told to look like he's talking without making any noise. That's what Soren did for what's going to feel like 45 seconds on a podcast.
Yeah. That's what that was. So he gets some advice from this guy, and it's all advice that's like, hey man, you got to follow your gut, or like the stuff that means nothing, empty calorie platitudes. And when he's on the dates and he's like talking to these women in their hometowns, they're also saying stuff that are just these empty calorie platitudes. No one is having the conversation of, where are we going to live? Are we going to live here with my family? Are we going to live where you live? Am I going to have to quit my job? Are you going to quit yours? Do you want to come to Boston? Do you want to be a mixed race couple in Boston? Does that sound fun to you?
Jesus.
And so nobody's having like real conversations. So we also aren't really, I mean, as much as we're like only treating this as marriage and not sexuality, we're also not treating it as marriage either. No one's actually treating it like, hey, we got to come to some agreements before this happens. Like, we have to figure each other out and know some even basic logistics of where we will be. So it is very fun to watch. It's very fun to see all of this happen. Dina got kicked off the show. We have 3 left. It's Latia, who is the Mormon, and she wants to have Mormon children, by the way. She wants to raise her children Mormon. He doesn't see that as a problem yet. He hasn't looked into Mormonism.
Google Mormons, buddy. You got to just do it.
You got to do it on your own time. I'm pleading with you. We still have...
do not trust the producers.
We still have Zoe. Zoe is the one very early on who was not playing by the rules and was just like kept borrowing him over and over again on other people's dates. Zoe, I don't think I've ever seen... I have no idea who Zoe is. Zoe is... she's terrifying to me. And then there's this one last person, Juliana, who I think is great. I think is like the last real normal person on the show. And... I'm rooting for her. Yeah, she seems to genuinely love him, which is like crazy. She really likes this guy. Like, he's her type and everything. And I'm like, of anybody, please, like, let's try to make this work. You get work. Him.
I'm so nervous because I know the producers are like, you know what would be pretty lucrative is fish out of water basketball player marries into Mormon family.
Oh my God.
Couldn't that be a spinoff? And he's like, "Hey, they took my phone away. Could someone tell me what Mormons are before?" No. We got it's like it's there's like Catholics and there's Christians and there's the other one. Yeah, it's like that's same. All. Hey, as long as you love family, right? Them too. They also love their family a whole lot.
Yeah,
they've just got dollar signs in their eyes for Ellis and Latia's spinoff.
Yeah, real quick, Grant. Do you believe in angels? I do. Perfect. That's great.
That's really good.
Yeah. Where do you think Jesus lived? Like, I'm just going to show you a map, and you just show me on the map where you think Jesus lived. Well, I live in the south here. Say no more. That's right there.
Close.
Right there is good. So yeah, I'm very excited. There's one other thing I want to say about the show. You wouldn't know it to watch it, but there's a host.
Is it Nick Lachey or
No,
a Nick
but he
Lachey
looks
type?
yes, he is cookie cutter Nick Lachey. His name is Jesse something, and I think he's been the host since the jump. He
Sure.
is probably had a lot more heavy lifting to do early on when the show was like trying to figure out what it was. This guy is not on the show, and it's very funny every time he shows up because you're like, whew, oh yeah, Jesse's on the show. And the only time he shows up is that during the rose ceremony. He's not even there for that. They did it in the $1 Million Theater this time in Los Angeles, which is like a gorgeous theater, and there's a lot of pageantry to it. They decorate the set, and everybody's in their most beautiful attire. He's handing out the roses, and you get to the last rose. Jesse appears out of nowhere, just apparates, and he's like, "Okay, ladies, this is the last rose." And then he fucks off again. Doesn't say
Excellent.
anything. Yeah, he's on the show every single episode. It's got to be in his contract or something. He's on the show for 15 seconds every single
What
time.
a sweet gig.
And then I think that he probably must have a bigger role. We're not going to the honeymoon suites or whatever they are next. The next thing we
Fantasy
have
suites.
is the fantasy suites. We have the women's tell-all. So all the women who are kicked off the show at this point, we have them coming back together for that. Hey, let's take, like, you two, there wasn't a lot of love lost between you two. Let's take a look at a clip. And then they all talk about it and they cry and stuff. That show is next. And I
You
think
get
that
Alex back. That's good.
yeah, I think that he must have a pretty big role on that. Because he's got to drive that conversation. If he doesn't, I love him even more.
Yeah.
But I think that, yeah, we're going to hear some women. We don't even get spoilers for that. We don't see any of it as like lead up in the sizzle. We only know that this show is coming up and these women are all going to be together again and they're going to talk to each other. And a lot of them left on pretty bad terms.
On Alex's departure, does she get an exit testimonial?
Yes, she does. And it's so humble and gentle. And like, I wasn't the one for him. And I understand that. It hurts.
Yeah.
But I get that. And I genuinely hope he finds the right person. And you're like, God damn it. She's so graceful and gentle in like in her defeat. And you're like, God damn. You'll find somebody. You're going to be fine. What are you, 19? You're going to be fine.
I now am replaying the first conversation we had about this, where you talk about running into Alex after she had taken a sabbatical. Mm-hmm. She explains to you that she was on this show, and you ask her how she did, and she said, "I think I did a good job. I think I did fine. I think I did okay." And now that we know how it ends, my poor little heart breaks for Alex, who is just like. When she's saying, "I think I did okay," that's just like, I did my best, and he chose someone else, but I'm going to be all right.
Yeah,
he doesn't love me. Soren, to answer your question, the man rejected me on television, and here I am back at work, and I will try something else later.
There will be one more episode I have to do where all the women yell at each other. I'm not looking forward to that, but I'm sure you are. And she's
I
like,
am
yeah.
back on the apps, feeling fine.
I would really like to have a conversation with her and be like, you must have gotten the same sense that I'm getting from the show from him,
Yeah.
right? Is it the same person that I'm getting from the edited clips? And also I want to ask her, do you feel like you got the personalities of everybody that we're also getting?
Yeah.
Because I'm confident that happens in reality television all the time, where that's not true. Where you're like, they'll turn somebody into a heel with the editing. And I want to make sure that first of all, she's okay.
Yeah.
Second of all, that she was like, yeah, I mean, that's what we were dealing with.
I mean, find out what kind of NDAs she signed and see if we can get her on the show. And if not the show proper, let's get her on the Patreon. In my mind, when I say we're going to do something on the Patreon, I don't think anyone can hear us. So let's get that. That's where we torch our careers. Let's get her on the Patreon, the secret Patreon.
I wonder if she would come on.
You can only listen to if you clear the insurmountable bar of giving us $5 one time.
Yeah.
If someone can get past that defense, then sure, they can listen to the podcast.
I feel like she would do it. I feel like she would come on the show.
She can promote her speech class.
I've also been calling
I'll
her.
be more supportive on the day.
I've been calling her a speech therapist on this. I'm not even confident that that's her. I think she might be a speech psychologist, which is very different. And I've been belittling her on the show. But I'm sorry if that's the case. I'll look it up again. I'll look at her Chiron in the first episode and make sure that I've got the right job. 'Cause that's the only way to know for sure. But yeah, that's The Bachelor. I'll give you updates after the women's tell-all and the cabana fuck sesh.
Yeah, I am right on the edge of my seat.
Yeah.
But for now, that's the end of our episode of the show. The show's Quick Question, but you knew that already. It is an independent podcast that we own and we run. It is produced and engineered and edited and recorded and made nice by Gabe Harder. Our sound is by the band our song is by the band Me Rex. You can find Soren and I on Bluesky. You can support the show on Patreon. You can watch the show if you've only ever listened to it. You can watch it on YouTube. If you pay $5 a month to Patreon, you get bonus episodes twice a month. You also get those episodes if you subscribe on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah.
Those are the only things I know how to say.
You're saying independent a lot. Is it?
Saying independent a lot. No, I didn't get any feedback. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I know that a bunch of them are part of different networks, and I don't think it gives us like cachet per se to say that we're independent. But it occurs to me that we've never, apart from just how unplanned every episode is, people might not know that it is truly
unprofessional,
a 3-person operation. It's us doing it. It's us and Gabe. We have a business guy that I've not spoken to in quite some time, but it's really, when we say independent, we're independent. We're not taking dollars from other companies. We're barely taking them from advertisers. So if you like the
our
idea
decision to stay apolitical on this podcast was our own. We're not beholden to oil.
So if you want to support independent creators like us, you can do that. We are nope. That sentence isn't going anywhere. I'm done.
Then bye.
Bye.
I've got a quick question for you, alright? I wanna hear your thoughts, I wanna know what's on your mind. I've got a quick question for you, alright? The answer's not important, I'm just glad that we could talk tonight. So what's your favorite? How did you get? When will I be remembered? Was it ever? Where did all the right know? Oh, forget it. Soren, Bowie, Daniel O'Brien, 2 best friends and comedy writers. If there's an answer, they're gonna find it. I think you'll have a great time here. I think you'll have a great time here.